Good morning. Nice, cool, crisp morning here in Northeast Texas. Last night I posted a video about this is a Layens Hive box. I got these plans from Dr. Leo Sharashkin's, I believe I'm saying that right, website, horizontalhive.com. These are open source plans. And this is take 4, by the way. If I don't get it right this time, I'm not posting the video. So we'll try again. Last night I posted a video, a couple of suggestions, things I ran into. This is my first box build. I own a small construction business. I'm a skilled carpenter, craftsman. I have a few things I can do to make a living at, and carpentry is one of them. But this is these boxes are, for me, it wasn't that simple. And I'm not an instruction guy. I stated that in my other video. I kind of like to do stuff freehand, if you will. But anyway, one of the things I want to talk about, if you'll notice on this box, if you know anything about bead boxes, they always have a metal rain guard on the top, something to keep the weather out. And if you're like me, you've probably had this problem. A lot of us have. You don't need anything until you throw it away. So about a month ago, I was cleaning up around the house, and I had a partial roll of flashing left, and I threw it away. I was tired of looking at it. It had been sitting there for I don't know how long, and here I am. I needed it. Second problem is if you're like me, sometimes you're just a little short on cash. I don't have the extra cash laying around right now to go buy flashing. I've got other things that going on. I can't do that. So if you have that problem too, excuse me, sometimes, here is a suggestion. It's part of the reason I made this video. If you'll notice this box, it may look stained to some of you, but it's not. The box is burned. So what I did have available to me was a small propane torch that I use with my plumbing equipment. If I have to make a plumbing repair or something like that. And I've had that bottle on there. I don't know how long that one bottle's been on there, and I burned this whole box with it, and I still have propane left. It's just a small, 12-inch tall, standard cylindrical propane bottle, plumber's bottle. So I burned the box. Now, if you're thinking, where in the world did you get that idea? Well, apparently wood burning for preservation, in my estimation, I guess has been around for centuries. At some point, I guess some guy he burned his house down and built another one beside it, and he looked over there 2 years later, and the wood that was left had a little char on it. He said, oh wow, that wood hadn't rotted. Well, let's try preserving some wood by burning it. Well, apparently it worked. Now, I've never done it. I'm going on what I've read, but there's a Japanese art of burning wood strictly dedicated to wood preservation. I can't pronounce the name, but it exists. So if you do a little reading and research on that, well, maybe that'll help you. And so that's what I had to do. And one of the things that is suggested is to switch hands here. One of the things that's suggested is to, after you burn the wood, to put a little oil on it, some mineral oil, tung oil, something like that, just to give it some added protection. That's probably not necessary, but I would assume that it helps some. I didn't have anything that was specifically designed for outdoor use, but what I did have was some shellac. So I use shellac, and one reason I use that is I need this box today, and so I had to get this box built and done, and shellac dries quickly. I didn't have time. I didn't have 4 or 5 days, given the current weather, humidity, and temperatures and all that, for polyurethane or something like that to dry. And I don't want to paint them. I do not prefer paint. Bees build in trees. I figure they'll build in a brown box instead of a white one. So that's just my thoughts. So there's that. Maybe that is a suggestion that will help you if you don't have that available to you, or you just want to try that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the lid itself. 1/4-inch plywood with 1x material ripped down on the sides here. So if the box lid goes bad, no big deal. I mean, if I just get a year out of it, I estimate I'll get more than that. And I'm not worried about water. The lid is waterproofed. It's glued thoroughly with good glue, stapled well, put together well. I'm not worried about water getting in there. The lid comes down over the edge. You see here, here's a drip edge on this seat for the lid, so it's got that. So one thing that's not in the plans that I'm gonna do, again, this is just personal preference, I went with the 1x material, 1.5 thick material on this box because of the R value. You can build a box with plywood and insulation and all that, but again, with cash flow being an issue for me right now, and I had this material laying around, I'm not going to spend money I don't need to spend to do something if I already have the material. So there were plans for using 1x material. I like the R value. It's close to 7. It's like 6.88 or something like that on a particular 2x material that I used. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The lid does not call for, in the plans that I saw at least, maybe I missed it, but there's no insulation there. And so this lid has a lot less R value, even taking into consideration the thickness of the frames here, taking that in consideration, and the thickness of the lid, the R value is less than the sides, and all your heat rises. So what I'm concerned with at this point is winter temperatures. It doesn't get like it does up north here, but we still have some bitter cold days in the winter. So I'm going to add insulation under that lid. The second thing I wanted to point out in building this box, I built my frames also, never built frames before. Two things. If you notice on here, I went foundationless. I want to be able to cut the comb on my, get that sun. I want to be able to cut the comb out of my frames because I'm primarily right now doing this for my own honey. And I want to be able to cut comb out of my frames. So I didn't want wire or anything else like that. But the thing I wanted to point out on this frame, this particular frame, if you'll notice right here in the middle, if you were to look at those plans, the plans actually call for a dowel rod there. I didn't have any dowel rod. I could have cut something and put in there, excuse me, but I don't want anything in there. The frames are strong enough. There's other frames that don't have anything in there except for a starter, some kind of starter right here for them to start their comb on. So I didn't put that in there. The frames are strong. The bees are going to glue that with propolis anyway. So wanted to point that out. And somehow when I built this box, I missed the fact that I was supposed to cut out this lip right here. And I had to do that after the fact, after I had the box put together, this lip. I had to rig up my router, and luckily I got a small trim router with a guide that I was able to cut that out after the fact. So if you're building this box, it's a lot easier if you cut that lip before you build that box. Hope that helps. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for tuning in, and more to come.